Hey, Talent Warriors, welcome to episode 16 of the Talent War podcast. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a short segment on how to better attract candidates to your job post. I know that a lot of the searches for a lot of the people who listen really are active searches looking for those candidates who are what we call passive, not really looking for jobs and who are not going to see your job post. But many of you out there really do have to make sure that your job post can stand out from the rest. So stand by and we'll tell you how to do it. Hey, Talent Warriors, welcome to episode 16 continues. And today we're talking a short segment about how to attract top candidates to your job description. Now, for the professional level, hopefully, your talent consultants are really out there looking for the people first and foremost that are passive hires, people that aren't necessarily looking for a new role, and you're finding them that way. But as talent acquisition specialists, we always have to post something. And the crazy thing is if you go to Indeed, if you go to LinkedIn and you look at the majority or the millions of job posts, formatting's the same, the objective requirements, they're all the same. There's no sizzle whatsoever. So if your company brand is not a Google, a Facebook, to use the most common ones, if you don't have the cachet in your brand, what is it that people are looking for when they're searching? Now, of course, you need to make sure that you have a good title because that's really what people are going to be searching on. But I wanted to just share with you a couple tips that I think might help. And so right now, as the Talent War Group coaches a number of firms, before we even walk in the door, before we make our pitch, we take a really good look at their website. We do our research, but a lot of times we go into the jobs and take a look at them. And we go through the process of clicking into them, seeing how hard the application process is, how difficult it is. But I got to tell you, time and time again, we see very, very boilerplate messages, jobs that I just don't know how they're getting applicants. And right now, when you're trying to attract the most attention to your company, those job descriptions are front and center. And with job aggregators, they are shared all over the place. So let's talk a little bit. So first of all, before we even get to defining success and figuring out what should be on the job description, do you know who you are? Most companies have some boilerplate about what they do, the service they provide, the product they create, the security, the financial, they've got all of that. But it doesn't say who they are at their core. There's no expression of culture. There's no expression of personality. There's absolutely nothing that really says, hey, you know what? I kind of like what they're talking about there. And so the first thing is really know who you are. Now, in many companies out there, the job description or the company boilerplate is auto-populated. And most people just moving with pure speed because they're overwhelmed in the talent acquisition space, totally get it. They don't change that company description. And sometimes it's pretty controlled, but you got to make sure that that statement speaks to people about who you are, what you do, why you do what you do, and the difference that you make to your clients, to your customers, to the community. You have got to send something out there because the job that they're applying to is just one portion. A candidate is looking at the entire company and what's down the road. Where can they go? What can they do? What can they achieve? How can they impact? So beyond the job description, before you even get to what you're looking for, you have to be very clear, very personalized about who you are. A great thing to do is take some testimonials from some of your top talent and then combine those into a statement of why people like working there. There's a few companies out there that do it really, really well. And you could always just look for the best job descriptions, but the best ones always say, first and foremost, who they are. Second, you've got to define success in the role. And it's one of the things that we've talked about in several podcasts. We talk about with our clients. One of the critical factors, well, said differently, and the people that have worked with me and that I've worked with, the teams I've been a part of, they've heard me say, and it sounds pretty cruel at first, but with enough bananas, I can teach a monkey to do the mechanics of recruiting. The mechanics aren't what make great recruiters, great talent scouts, great talent acquisition business partners. It's not what makes students of the business. It's that great talent acquisition consultants understand the attributes, the character traits that go into being successful in their company, in that department, and in that team. They understand the human dynamic. They know what they're looking for, and they're going to assess those. So the second part of a job description that you absolutely have to get right is, what does success look like over and above the basic requirements? Do you need somebody who's a curious person? Do you need people that are really intuitive, really high on the emotional intelligence and effective intelligence scales? Do you need somebody with a keen eye for detail? Do you need somebody that has to be imaginative? Somebody with a great outgoing personality because they're very much client facing, great relationship building skills? What are the things that are needed for success in the role? And the best way to find those is really to find the top performers in that team or that department and try to describe them outside of their resume. Make sure you get those down, and below the statement of who you are, hey, this is the kind of person that we are looking for. And I'll give you really one of the most simple tricks or tips to getting that right, especially if you're the hiring manager and really if you're the talent acquisition consultant. When you look at that job description, is it something that you would apply to? Would you, with your talent and all you have to offer and how much you value yourself, is that a company that you're attracted to? And are those descriptors in there something that describe you or describe the people that you want to be around? I mean, nobody comes up and says, hey, George, I want to find a job where there are 15 people on the team and each have 5 to 7 years of experience, and they have this coding language, they've been with this company. No, nobody says, I want objective requirements. They want a lifestyle. They want an environment. They want a culture. They want character attributes. And, we cited in the book, Google did this project called Project Oxygen about the things that they were looking for in a good boss. Tens of thousands of people surveyed, and at Google, no less. And if I have this right, technical skills came in 8th place out of 10 criteria. They don't want the smartest person in the room, but it was a great study to kind of prove that this is what people are looking for in bosses. They're also looking for that in teammates. So know who you are. And then second, know what defines success and be able to describe that so it calls to people. So somebody can see in that descriptive, hey man, that's me. Yeah, that's really me. You'll get some stickability on people that apply to that position. This episode is sponsored by Talent War Group, a management consulting and executive search firm. We help you attract, retain, and develop your top talent because we know that the most valuable asset within your organization is your talent. With services like leadership development, talent acquisition and HR consulting, executive search, executive coaching, and keynote speeches, we work with you to create talent solutions to your most pressing business problems. You can get started by finding us at talentwargroup.com and let us help you develop your next generation of leaders. Also, if you like what we're doing here at the podcast, please leave a review as it helps us support and continue this podcast. It helps us support people who are really dedicated to improving their business skills and excelling above all else. The next thing that's really critical, those two things are just absolutely the biggest thing, because everything after those two things is just really things that will keep somebody from applying because they just don't have the minimum requirements. And so I want to start out and share with you, it's been my preference and it's been my practice that you don't list what this person will do day-to-day responsibilities. It's boring. And it's kind of, hey, you're going to do A through S, sometimes T, sometimes U, and on an occasion, X, Y, and Z. Oh, gee, like I couldn't tell that from the job description. The other thing is that's a very limiting statement. So talking about the responsibilities is something I would tell you do not do. Instead, after you've described what success looks like in the person you're looking for, describe the impact that they're going to make. we need talent to do the following things in support of our mission. These are some of the things that this role will be involved in and will impact. So that was number 3. Number 4, when you get down to requirements, be very, very, very careful. And especially now as we tell people to open the aperture and think more broadly about what talent looks like. Anytime you put down as a hard requirement 2 to 3 years, 5 to 7 years, 10 years in management, those are very exclusive statements. And effectively, you may be very well ruling out people or causing them to move on after seeing your job description that might have all of the factors of success really align with your company mission and can do and make the impact that you just stated that they should do. But then you've screened them out. So be very, very mindful of what you put down as a requirement. Frankly, I tell people, and the job descriptions that we help people write, we put preferred qualifications. Hey, this would be helpful. Familiarity with Microsoft Office Suite as a very, very basic example. But if a position normally would be 5 to 7 years of experience, really take a hard look at that and say, do we need the 5 to 7 years in management? Now, instead, you might say demonstrated experience managing small teams or teams greater than 10 people in multiple locations. Describe the circumstance. Don't put a numerical qualifier in years of experience. Where I've seen this go wildly wrong is, especially in the tech space, is putting 2 to 3 years or 4 years in a particular coding language or something to do with software, hardware, otherwise, IoT. It's not with engineers because there's so many that you run into that 2 years into working in the space, they are just built for that. And so the years of experience doesn't add a whole lot to the equation. Their curiosity, their effective intelligence, their drive, their resiliency for bouncing back when they design a product and then they know they have to keep improving it or working the bugs out, that shows up very, very early. So when you put a ton of years of experience, be very careful that you're not excluding possibly A players. Anytime that you can list things out as a preferred gives you the widest latitude, gives your talent acquisition team the widest latitude to consider talent and who's going to impact the most. Now, admittedly, there are some table stakes out there. I completely get that. I mean, obviously, as we say, we don't hire a recent graduate to be a C-suite executive. We get that. But most job descriptions out there, I'm willing to bet a significant sum of money that when somebody puts 7 to 10 years of experience, there's so many people that I know that maybe have 4 or 5. And if I put them in front of them, they go, oh yeah, I absolutely got to have that person. Wow, this is an impact A player all the way around. I want to hire them. But then I would have to say, well, they don't have the minimum years of experience. You know what? I'll overlook that. This is a great person. So that's my point. When you're writing a job description, be very, very careful that it's preferred, but that you are emphasizing you are looking for the attributes. So with that, we wanted to keep it really, really simple. And it's very easy to go back. But remember, the cardinal rule is, especially if you're a hiring manager, would you apply to this role? First, get very, very clear and give your talent acquisition consultants free rein and your HR business partners, if they're dabbling in recruiting, give them the ability to redo the company boilerplate to make it something very personal. Something that includes the mission, the why somebody should consider their next career with you. Even if that isn't a career and it's just a job, talk about your culture, talk about what it's like to work there and why people love working there. And if you don't know, then you do have a really, really big problem. Do call us, call me, we'll figure it out. Second, no success. Absolutely no success for those attributes. Number 3, don't write down item after item after item after item, line after line of this is what the person will be doing. Describe the impact this person needs to make instead. Describe what they will be doing with other teams, other departments, with the customers, with clients. Be descriptive about it. Then make sure that the requirements that you have down there are listed as preferred and not hard requirements. And remember, folks, it used to be pretty standard on generally accepted professional roles that a bachelor's degree. But does that really mean anything anymore? Now, a hard requirement must be bilingual, must have a government security clearance at a certain level. I absolutely understand those requirements, as I said. If those are hard requirements, just put that in the line. It says, candidate must possess A and B. But where there's the opportunity, instead of 4 to 5 years, hey, describe the attributes, not the number of years of experience needed. And remember, as you write this, it has to reach out beyond the vertical, beyond the specific industry that you're in. So make sure that it appeals to anybody and everybody, the widest audience possible. So I hope these tips were helpful. If there's something that you'd like to add to that, by all means, drop me a note. You just go to the Talent War group / our podcast section, click the button, scroll down, send a question, send a concern, send a correction. And if you're selected, you'll get a copy of the Talent War, how special operations and great organizations win on talent. And if writing job descriptions, if attracting candidates is something that's really, really difficult to do, please give us a call. You know, the teams that we have built have hired over 80,000 people, over 2,500 executives. We've been in our fair share of dumpster fires when it comes to talent acquisition organizations, and we're pretty good at straightening them out, and we'd love to help. More importantly, we'd really like to help the human capital leaders, talent acquisition leaders, to make sure that they have the right message to C-suite leadership, that HR is the table, that talent is everything, and acquiring, or rather sourcing, assessing, and selecting the next generation of talent for your company should be on the forefront of everybody's mind, not a button seat. So you can reach out to us at thetalentwargroup.com. We would love to help you. I'd love to hear your comments. If you write a review and it's selected, we will also send you a free copy of the Talent War. Folks, thank you so much. From time to time, we are going to do very, very short segments on simple tips like this to help business leaders. And remember, as Mike and I've said when we've been in front of groups, as much as people think the U.S. military is the most powerful force in the world, it really is the U.S. economy. And we absolutely love contributing to that in the way of talent. So what you're doing out there, our listeners are doing when it comes to talent, you are powering that engine. It's always your people. It's always your talent. Hope that this was helpful. Hope you tune in, send comments, corrections, or whatever to me at the Talent War Group. Connect with me at George at LinkedIn or on Facebook or on Instagram. But I hope that this was helpful. And I hope all of you always continue to up your talent game and help your companies win. And thank you for listening to the Talent War podcast, where we discuss all things talent, focusing on a true talent mindset, which is a core belief that the only true competitive advantage you can hope to achieve and maintain is your talent. Join us for the next episode of the Talent War podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you heard, subscribe, please leave a review, and connect with Dr. Tom Lokar and myself on Talent War Group's LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram accounts, and send your comments and inquiries to media@Talent War Group. The Talent War podcast is brought to you by the Talent War Group, a management consulting and executive search firm. With services like talent acquisition, leadership development, seminars, and executive coaching, we will work with you to create talent solutions to your business problems. To get started, please visit us at www.talentwargroup.com.